Welcome back to Liberty Quarter Dollar, the channel where we explore the history, value, and hidden details of America's most popular quarters. And if you enjoy learning about Washington quarter dollar coins and what they are really worth in today's market, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and turn on notifications so you never miss another coin value update. Today, we are focusing on the 1987 Washington quarter dollar with the D mint mark, a coin that is slightly more interesting than many other modern quarters because it was not released into general circulation, making it a key date for collectors in the Washington quarter series. Many people are surprised to learn that while millions of 1987 quarters exist, most were originally sold only in collector mint sets, which adds to their appeal. The year 1987 is part of the modern clad era of United States coinage. Like other quarters from 1965 onward, the 1987 quarter is made from a copper-nickel clad composition with outer layers of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core. It contains no silver, but its value is influenced by its lower availability in circulation compared to other dates. The D mint mark indicates that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. You can find the small letter D on the obverse side of the coin, just to the right of George Washington's ponytail. In 1987, both the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint struck quarters primarily for inclusion in mint sets rather than for everyday circulation, which is why finding a genuine 1987 D quarter in circulation is more difficult than many other modern dates. On the obverse side, the coin features the classic left-facing portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, with the word Liberty at the top, In God We Trust to the left, and the date, 1987, at the bottom. The reverse shows the familiar bald eagle with outstretched wings holding arrows, along with United States of America, a pluribus unum, and quarter dollar. This traditional design was used on Washington quarters for decades. Now, let us talk about condition because it plays a huge role in value. If your 1987 D quarter shows noticeable wear, scratches, and dull surfaces, it is considered circulated. If it still has original mint luster and no wear, it is considered uncirculated. In today's market, a circulated 1987 D Washington quarter dollar typically sells for around $758 to $1,500 US, which is higher than most modern quarters because of its lower circulation availability. In good condition, values are usually closer to the lower end of that range. For coins in very fine or extremely fine condition, prices can reach around $150 to $300 US. Uncirculated examples often sell for $300 to $800 US, and high-grade, professionally graded coins can sell for even more. Another factor that can increase value is a mint error. If your 1987 D quarter shows an off-center strike, double strike, clipped planchet, or missing clad layer, it could be worth $200, $500, or more dollars, depending on the type and severity of the error. So if you have a 1987 Washington quarter dollar with the D mint mark, it's definitely worth holding on to and checking carefully. Even in circulated condition, it's more desirable than many other modern quarters. In summary, the 1987 D Washington quarter dollar is a better modern date that is typically worth around $1,000 or more, with higher values for better condition and uncirculated examples. Always check your coins carefully because small details can sometimes make a big difference. Next up, the 1965 Washington quarter dollar with no mint mark. A very important coin in U.S. history because it represents a major turning point in American coinage. Many people believe that older quarters are always made of silver, but 1965 is the first year when the United States Mint officially stopped producing silver quarters for circulation. Because of this change, the 1965 Washington quarter contains no silver, even though it looks similar to earlier silver issues. The 1965 quarter is made from a copper-nickel clad composition, meaning it has outer layers of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This new composition was introduced to reduce production costs and prevent hoarding, since rising silver prices were causing people to pull silver coins out of circulation. This makes the 1965 Washington quarter historically significant as the beginning of the modern clad quarter era. The absence of a mint mark on a 1965 quarter is completely normal. During the years 1965, 1966, and 1967, the U.S. Mint removed mint marks from all circulating coins to discourage collectors and speculators from hoarding coins based on where they were minted. So if your 1965 quarter has no mint mark, it does not mean it is rare or special by itself. On the obverse side of the coin, you will see the familiar left-facing portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. The word Liberty appears at the top, In God We Trust is placed to the left of Washington's portrait, and the date 1965 appears at the bottom. On the reverse side, the coin shows the bald eagle with wings spread, holding arrows, along with United States of America, E pluribus unum, and quarter dollar. This classic design was used for decades and is instantly recognizable. Now, let us talk about value, because this is what most people want to know. Since the 1965 quarter contains no silver and was produced in extremely large numbers, its value depends almost entirely on condition. A 1965 Washington quarter in rough or heavily worn condition is generally worth face value, which is 25 cents US dollars. Coins that are scratched, dull, stained, or heavily circulated usually do not bring any premium. In good condition, where the major details are still visible but clearly worn, a 1965 quarter is typically worth around 30 to 600 US dollars. This small premium exists mainly for collectors who want a representative example for their albums. In very fine to extremely fine condition, where the coin shows lighter wear and sharper details, values may range from 75 cents to $1.50 US dollars. For uncirculated examples that still have full mint luster and no signs of wear, prices can range from $3 to $8 US dollars, depending on eye appeal and overall quality. High-grade, professionally graded examples can sell for even more. Another factor that can greatly increase value is the presence of a mint error. If a 1965 quarter shows an off-center strike, double strike, clipped planchet, missing clad layer, or other major error, it could be worth $20, $50, or even hundreds of dollars depending on the type and severity of the error. So, if you have a 1965 Washington quarter dollar with no mint mark, the most likely value is just a little above face value, unless the coin is in high grade or has an error. Even though it is not rare, it remains an important historical coin because it marks the transition away from silver coinage in the United States. In summary, the 1965 Washington quarter dollar with no mint mark is usually worth 25 cents to 60 cents US dollars in circulated condition, more in better grades, and significantly more only if it is uncirculated or shows a genuine mint error. Always check your coins carefully, because small details can sometimes make a big difference. Next up, the 1996 Washington quarter dollar with the D mint mark, a modern quarter that many people still find in circulation and often wonder if it has any collector value. While this coin is common and not made of silver, it still plays an important role in the long-running Washington quarter series and is popular among collectors who build complete date and mint mark sets. The year 1996 falls within the modern clad era of United States coinage. Like all quarters minted from 1965 onward, the 1996 quarter is composed of a copper-nickel clad structure, with outer layers of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This composition replaced the earlier 90% silver quarters that were minted from 1932 to 1964. Because of this change, the 1996 quarter contains no silver, and its value is based mainly on condition and collector demand. The D mint mark indicates that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. You can find the small letter D on the obverse side of the coin just to the right of George Washington's ponytail. The Denver Mint produced a large number of quarters in 1996, making this a very common issue overall. On the obverse side of the coin, you will see the classic left-facing portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. The word Liberty appears at the top, In God We Trust is placed to the left of Washington's portrait, and the date 1996 appears at the bottom. On the reverse side, the coin shows the familiar bald eagle with outstretched wings holding arrows, along with the inscriptions United States of America, A Pluribus Unum, and quarter dollar. This traditional design was used on Washington quarters before the introduction of the state quarters program in 1999. Now let us talk about condition, because this is the biggest factor affecting value. If your 1996 D Washington quarter shows heavy wear, scratches, and dull surfaces, it is considered circulated. If the coin shows light wear with visible details, it is considered good or very good condition. If it still has original mint luster and no wear, it is uncirculated. In today's market, a 1996 D Washington quarter in circulated condition is typically worth face value to about $300. In good condition, where major details are visible but worn, values usually range around $300 to $600. For coins in very fine to extremely fine condition, prices may reach around $750 to $1,225. Uncirculated examples often sell for $200 to $800, depending on overall quality, and high-grade, professionally graded coins can bring higher prices. Another factor that can increase value is the presence of a mint error. If your 1996 D Washington quarter shows an off-center strike, double strike, clipped planchet, or missing clad layer, it could be worth $700, $950, or even more, depending on the type and strength of the error. So, if you have a 1996 Washington quarter dollar with a D mint mark, the honest value is usually just a little above face value, unless it is in very nice condition or has a genuine mint error. Even though it is common, it is still a meaningful piece of modern American coinage history. In summary, the 1996 D Washington quarter is typically worth $250 to $600 in circulated condition, more in higher grades, and significantly more only if uncirculated or showing an error. Always check your coins carefully because small details can sometimes make a big difference. Next up, the 1986 Washington quarter dollar with the P mint mark in bad condition, a very common modern quarter that many people still find in circulation and often wonder if it has any value beyond face value. While this coin is not made of silver and was produced in large numbers, it is still part of the long-running Washington quarter series and represents everyday American coinage from the mid-1980s. The year 1986 falls within the modern clad era of United States coinage. Like all Washington quarters minted from 1965 onward, the 1986 quarter is composed of a copper-nickel clad structure, with outer layers of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This composition replaced the earlier 90% silver quarters that were minted from 1932 through 1964. Because of this change, the 1986 quarter contains no silver, and its value depends almost entirely on condition and collector demand. The P mint mark means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. You can find the small letter P on the obverse side of the coin just to the right of George Washington's ponytail. By the 1980s, mint marks had long been restored to U.S. coinage, and Philadelphia regularly used the P mint mark on quarters. On the obverse side of the coin, you will see the familiar left-facing portrait of George Washington designed by John Flanagan, with the word Liberty at the top, In God We Trust to the left of Washington's portrait, and the date 1986 at the bottom. The reverse side features the classic bald eagle with outstretched wings holding arrows, along with the inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus unum, and quarter dollar. Now let us talk about bad condition, because this has the biggest impact on value. A 1986 P quarter in bad condition usually shows heavy wear, flattened details, scratches, stains, or discoloration. Washington's hair details may be mostly smooth, and the eagle's feathers on the reverse side may be difficult to see. The coin may look dull, dirty, or heavily circulated, but the date and mint mark should still be readable. In today's market, a 1986 P Washington quarter in bad condition is generally worth face value, which is 25 cents US dollars. Because this coin contains no silver and is extremely common, collectors do not usually pay a premium for heavily worn examples. Most coin dealers treat these coins the same as any other modern circulating quarter. If the coin were in slightly better circulated condition, such as good or very good condition, it might be worth around 30 to 50 cents US dollars. In very fine condition, values can reach around 75 to 95 cents US dollars. Uncirculated examples with full mint luster can sell for $2 to $8 US dollars, and high-grade professionally graded pieces can bring higher prices. Another factor that could increase value is a mint error. If your 1986 P Washington quarter shows an off-center strike, double strike, clipped planchet, or missing clad layer, it could be worth 95 to $1.50 or more, depending on the type and strength of the error. However, if the coin is simply worn from circulation, it will not fall into this category. So if you have a 1986 Washington quarter dollar with a P mint mark in bad condition, the honest value is usually just 25 cents, but it is still an interesting piece of everyday American history and part of a series that has been loved by collectors for generations. In summary, the 1986 P Washington quarter in bad condition is typically worth face value, with higher values only possible if the coin is in much better condition or has a clear mint error. Always check your coins carefully because small details can sometimes make a big difference. Thank you for watching Liberty Quarter Dollar, and if you enjoy learning about quarter values and rare finds, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling us which quarter date you want us to cover next. Until next time, keep checking your change, because every coin has a story.